Hi everybody, my name's Bob Saunders and I've been asked to talk to you today about two things that are linked: reincarnation and why can't I remember previous lives. Now, the sort of collective wisdom tells us that we're born, we have a life here, we go off somewhere and we come back again and again and again, okay? And some people have even tried to say that we're in a prison planet, and I've tried to explain that we're not. Now, I'd like to really get to the point of reincarnation and why we can't remember our previous lives. And the answer, in simple terms, is you can't remember a previous life because you never had one. You have never reincarnated. This is your first and only incarnation here. Now, I'm going to try and explain it, but once again, as with all these concepts, it's actually quite difficult. So bear with me and I'll do my best. As usual, I've got notes, and so I've got to keep looking at it. Now, I'm going to start off once again by saying that this body is not us. We are just an invisible spiritual force, the Spirit of God, if you like. And we come down here and take control of this body, which is really just a kind of a robot. It's our spirit that's animating it. And when we die, our spirit goes off. But the story is a bit more complicated than that, because as you know, you've got your own distinct personality, your thoughts, your ambitions and aims, and really who you are. But what you may or may not know is that also attached to you is something that is called your higher self. Now, this higher self is an invisible force. It's attached to our God spirit, but nevertheless is personal to us. I have my higher self and you have your higher self, and it's how can I say, it's there to try and help and guide us and to help us achieve a level of spirituality, which is, as I was mentioned in another video the other day, it's the reason why we're here, to raise spirituality. And so our higher self is there to help us do that. Now, most people don't contact their higher self. The higher self tends to remain in the background because we need to make a link to that higher self before it can really help guide us and so on. Now, this higher self actually can speak to you. And I had the dubious pleasure once of having my higher self speak to me, and it told me off because I wasn't doing what I should be doing about a certain subject. I won't go into details, but it told me off. So it can actually talk to you. Generally speaking, it just remains in the background and tries to guide you. But nevertheless, it's very real. So you've got your body, you've got all your thoughts and emotions and your personality, which some people call your id, I think, that who you really are. And you've also got this higher self. Now, one day, we're all going to die. This body just ceases to function, and we swan off back to heaven, complete with our thoughts and personalities, our Spirit of God, and also this higher self. Now, then we find to our amazement, when we get into heaven, that we're actually attached to something called an oversoul. Now, this oversoul is a higher version of us that always remains in heaven. It never incarnates and comes down here, but it has this unique ability to create people, if you like. My oversoul created me. Your oversoul created you. And we come down here and we have this incarnation and we learn and we go back complete with our, as I said, with our Spirit of God and all our thoughts and who we are and our higher self, and all that experience and information is fed into our oversoul. Okay, and the oversoul grows in wisdom through our incarnation. Now, this oversoul has a unique ability in that it can create more than one of us. Okay? Now, to keep it simple, I'm going to assume that it creates just one of us at a time. It doesn't have to. It can create multiple versions of us. But let's assume it just created me. I'll just talk about me for the moment. It created me. I've come down here. I'm going to do my thing. And then one day I'm going to go back to heaven, and with all my thoughts and experiences and my oversoul, my higher self, sorry, and rejoin my oversoul. Then, if the oversoul decides, it can create another version of me that will be totally different from me. Imagine if the oversoul is like a ball, let's just make it like a ball, and this was me. I've gone back again, and the oversoul decides to create another version, which it does. It creates another version of me, totally different from me. It will have its own distinct personality. It will have its own race, skin color. It will be born into a certain country. It will speak a certain language and so on. And this new version of me will have no idea that it's connected to me, because as it comes down here, it sort of gets cut off from that and it finds itself on its own. But nevertheless, it's connected to me. In the meantime, I've finished my incarnation here and I stay in heaven. Then eventually that new version of me finishes its incarnation and goes back to heaven, and the oversoul will create another version. Now, it can create, if it wants, several versions all at once and send them all down onto different parts of the planet, different continents, different countries, speaking different languages and so on. And there can be multiple versions. It can even create versions of me, or eventually you. I mean, I'm talking about me, but it applies to you just as well. Can go off to another galaxy somewhere and live on another planet somewhere. It's amazing, this oversoul. It has this ability to create multiple versions. But the important point I want to make is that you and I will only come down here the once, and will only have this one incarnation. Now, some people claim that they've had multiple incarnations and that they're able to connect with them. Now, what's actually happening is one of two things. Well, it could be that they're just making it up. That's the third option. Or they're connecting into the Akashic records and taking from the Akash other people's lives, which they interpret as their lives. Or they could even be connecting with other versions of themselves that had lived previously down here. But they are not that person. They are totally different versions. So the point I'm trying to make to you is that you do not reincarnate. You come down here only the once. And the reason that you can't remember previous incarnations down here is because you never had one. You come down here just the unique one time, and then you go back and you join your oversoul. Okay? I don't know if this makes sense. It's a bit complicated and I've said it all rather quickly. If you have any questions, please contact me, and if I can answer your questions, I will. Okay? Thank you very much for listening to me. Goodbye.